Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and I've actually got my microphone set up properly this time. It's almost like I'm a real YouTuber now. Moving up in the world. So Kathleen Kennedy finally stepped down as head of Lucasfilms. And before anyone starts prematurely celebrating, I would like to remind you that she is still reportedly with the company. Like, she's still a part of Lucasfilms. She's just devoting all of her time now to what her main profession always was, which was producing. So it's not like she's gone like some people have imagined or just flat out lied about. She's still very much reportedly a part of the company, and she will be for the foreseeable future, doing her best job that she's known for, producing. And reportedly, from who's taken her place, it seems that Dave Filoni will be overseeing creative direction of Lucasfilm as president and chief creative officer, while the other person, Linwin Brennan, will handle the business side of things as the co-president of Lucasfilms. So for any of you out there who had the idea that because Kathleen Kennedy stepped down, there's just going to be this huge, gigantic change to Lucasfilms, and now all the wokeness is going to be gone forever. I would like to remind you that Dave Filoni has spoken before in the past in defense of Rey, and has also spent the last decade plus years incorporating elements of the sequel trilogy into the parts of Star Wars that literally build up to the sequel era. So if you have this idea that because Dave Filoni is now in power, that the sequels are going to get finally erased after all this time, that's very obviously not going to happen. And just keep in mind, we've gone from the woman who George Lucas handpicked to run Star Wars to the person who literally learned everything he knows about Star Wars from George Lucas himself, being in the position of the head of Star Wars now. Take away from that what you will. For those of you who still haven't caught on yet, I will always happily remind you, Star Wars, come here. Star Wars has always been woke, and if you haven't figured that out by now, you have not paid a lick of attention to Star Wars. Cope and seethe. Star Wars is liberal, and it is expressly anti-conservative. If you didn't understand that, you've never watched Star Wars closely enough, because you've probably been too focused on Princess Leia's tits. I said what I said. Moving on. Now, I gotta say, I've got mixed feelings about this. On one hand, from what I've seen from Kathleen Kennedy's work, from everything that Star Wars has become under her command and direction, I've enjoyed everything, relatively speaking, that's come out. Have I had some complaints? Sure, but the only thing I'm really curious to see, now that we have some new leadership in control of Star Wars, is really what comes down to what I think is the only real major criticism that I have for Disney-era Lucasfilms, which is they seem to have this big spending problem, because multiple projects in the Star Wars universe, multiple projects in Star Wars have gone excessively over budget, from The Acolyte to The Rise of Skywalker to the Solo movie. All of these, and from what I also hear, Rogue One, all of these films were excessively over budget. And what I'm curious to see is, with this new leadership, maybe after some time, if we see that they get a better grip over the expenses for these movies and these TV shows, then hopefully that means the films and shows that come out will be more easily successful. And if that's the case, then we'll most likely see a resurgence to more movies and more TV shows, more seasons than what we've gotten so far. And if that truly is the case, then I would probably be suspicious that somewhere along the line, that excessive spending has to come down to Kathleen Kennedy's feet in some degree or another. And if that's the case, then I'm grateful that she's now no longer in that position. I can't prove any of that, so until I see more convincing evidence that says otherwise, all I can say is thank you, Kathleen Kennedy, for your contributions to Star Wars, and I think you've earned a well-deserved break from the toxic knee-jerk reaction backlash from the immature, toxic side of this fandom. And I'm very pleased to hear that you're still committed to being a part of the Star Wars organization, part of the Star Wars company, part of Lucasfilms, and contributing your talents to future Star Wars projects. Now, circling back to this new leadership, I don't really know much about Linwin. I'm going to be referring to her as Linwin until someone in the comments section properly tells me how her name is pronounced. But I don't really know anything about Linwin as a person or what her career is consistent of. I haven't looked her up yet. This is sort of just off the cuff sort of recording. But I have watched a lot of Dave Filoni's work. I have looked into a lot of Dave Filoni's work. I've seen a lot of what Dave Filoni knows and of what he talks about. And I can only say I respect the man's creativity because he's learned everything from the greatest source to the Star Wars universe, which is George Lucas. So the fact that we have someone that is that closely knitted to the source creator's ideology and creativity, who had a front seat lesson in what makes Star Wars, now in full, almost unquestionable command of Star Wars for the future, and especially in the position of the creative leadership elements. I'm hoping this leads to a greater future for Star Wars and them expanding more into territories we've never seen before. But what I'd also like to say is I'm actually happy that they've sort of divided up the job and made it a sort of two-person leadership system, because now hopefully there can be a better control, a sort of a balance to the system where it's not just one person making collective decisions. It has to be a collective effort now. It has to be a team effort now where both people kind of have to be on the same page of things and working together to push a product. Now, there's only two ways I can see this happening. This can either lead to more products getting greenlit, or it can lead to less products being greenlit, but each of those products have a tighter grip on what they're creating, how they're creating it, and a tighter grip on that budget that I mentioned earlier. And hopefully that means that those stories will be more likely to be successful, and because of which it will generate more content in the future as a result. All that being said, all I can really say for right now, given that this is news that's happened within the last day, is I'm excited for the future in regards to Star Wars. Not necessarily the future of what current things are going on, but that's not what my channel's about. I'm here to talk about the nerdy stuff until the mushroom cloud wipes me off the face of the earth. But we'll cover that if I have to cover it, but who knows? We are so fucking cooked. I'm just saying. But I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. Are you excited for this new era of Star Wars, or are you one of those people who are just constantly pessimistic about the state of Star Wars and not excited at all that Dave Filoni's in power now? By all means, rage about it in the comments below. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.